are. We're back. Sean's alive. Good morning, the feel button. Good morning, Mark. We're glad you're with us. We got alternate spelling Sean.
Hernandez.
Lots of Sean's. I like it. Sean's playing the jazz master. What is that?
This is a Vincent
Oh!
Van Treat
Yeah, it is.
apprentice build.
I knew. I just wanted to say. See what I did there? See how that goes? That's how the professionals do it.
Lightning
That's what we call a lead-in.
a lead-in.
A lead-in.
A little inside baseball for you.
Little inside. That's just how the cookies get made.
These are lapel mics.
You gotta break a few eggs if you want to make them. What a bunch of losers. We're losers. Good morning, everyone. Mayor McCheese is off the toilet, thank God.
As far as we know.
As far as we know. He could just say that. Is that the Johnny's Stallion telly? Of course it is. This is my personal workhorse of happiness. Oh, I just beat it into the Vincent. That's the great thing about Relics. You just beat them into things. So yeah, my telly, that's my number one. The ride or die. Is that the night? Yes, it is. It is, because it is Die Hard season, and that is how we're marking it down to the day, the big day. That was from our dear friend Surrender.
Die harder.
Who sends us great things. You haven't not seen it until this morning.
I know.
Sean's been dead, guys. He's had the
Kinda
plague.
died.
I don't know what sort of plague. Tom, good morning. Yeah, no. We are like plaid shirt brothers this morning.
We are. This is my Get Better Soon shirt.
Get better. He's just been cuddling in that germ-infested shirt for days. I like to think you're just at home in nothing but that shirt.
I am. I'm laying in bed like this.
Germy.
It's funny. It's like I should probably take like a photo of it, but I got like my drum machine and my little tape recorder and my keyboard next to me in bed. I've been stuck in bed the last 2-3 days. So
That's the way to do it.
Been ripping nonstop.
That's the way to do it. Nady, we could have more cowbell, I guess, if we really want to. There's cowbells around.
Never underestimate the power that we have with the cowbell.
Let's see, where did it go? Greg asked if Baxter loves his Vincent as much as Greg loves his. And the answer is, I don't know how you wouldn't love a Vincent, right? Like,
I don't know either.
I mean, all the master builds are good. There's some amazing builders, but there's something magical about Vincent Van Treat.
I mean, he had the touch, man, you know? He had the touch. And what's cool is like this guitar, we've had it long enough now that, there comes a point where like the pain and stuff kind of reaches that, like it's like aired off enough that it kind of sets in, ages in.
Cease and desist letter.
We did get a cease and desist letter over that guitar. Go look it up. There's the videos. I don't know if we actually could make a fun video. Never mind. It got removed. It was a victim to the machine.
It might be in our members only section.
It probably is in the members only section.
Members, check and let us know in the comments.
I will say though, Sean, what you're talking about, right? Like, I think one of the magic touches that Vincent has is that his almost come that way.
Yeah.
A lot of them, like if you see them and you're like, oh, I don't love the Relic, that sort of happens where the finish sort of sinks in a little bit. For sure, I mean, like this is mine and it's just a team built. But it definitely is true on it. Like it looks much different. And some of that has just been, it's been played for,
Well, I mean, this one's
a decade and some change. But
it just kind of feels real, like it feels dirty. You know what I mean?
It feels dirty.
It's hard to explain. Honestly, like cameras and video stuff, it's hard to do justice to that just stuff. The level of grime.
Yeah.
Because
there's so much texture to that.
There is.
In real life that I don't think is there.
Super bad. Oops, sorry.
Mayor McCheese we're having the vein pop in his forehead because he hates Relic.
He's like, what are you doing?
You guys, I thought you were getting it. We didn't need to talk about Relics. We just, like the Vincent discussion leads you down that rabbit hole,
I'm going to take this home and do some writing and recording on it, shoot a little video on it.
Ned said when you said Baxter had a Vincent, I thought he had a 100K motorcycle. Oh, he does. Nice. That'd be really funny. Can you imagine? I'm trying to imagine if Baxter is a motorcycle rider. Could Baxter be? I feel like he'd be riding like the Royal Enfield, the little British bike with like, little tight pants and boots.
I think he would agree with this, that
Goggles.
he's more of like a downtown Vespa kind of vibe, Like he would want to scoot around downtown real quick.
Scoot around.
That's right.
Scoot around.
Like especially you put him in Europe, he's a Vespa guy.
I could definitely see Baxter like Vespaing it up in Italy.
Oh, yeah.
Rome.
Like that's
riding
his
up on the
vibe,
sidewalk.
much
that is his
before showing up at Bike Week.
Yeah. Like I said, it's not a bike week vibe. It's like the British,
Yeah.
old Triumph, the weird leather goggles and little leather
see that
helmet.
too.
That's it. That's Alex Holden's got it. I guess maybe I wasn't giving him enough credit with the Royal Enfield. Those are like the budget Triumphs, pretty much. The British bikes. It feels dirty. It does play dirty, Neil. It does play dirty. That sometimes. Okay, so let's talk about this for a second because we've talked about how there's something to the custom shop SGs.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like a lot of the stuff custom shop to non-custom shop is not as huge a gap. I feel like SGs is a scenario where there is. I feel like Jazzmasters also, right? Because you can buy like a production Jazzmaster and they're
It's like
fine.
night and day.
But it's night and day jump up.
It's so
to,
disappointing. I feel like the American original Jazzmaster and Jaguar were better than the new reissues. But nonetheless, I still feel like it's a little tricky because custom shop level, it's like an SG. It just matches up to something new in whole. Especially comparing like vintage SGs to like custom shop SGs, the neck feel is there. Whenever they do production runs of SGs, they flatten the neck out too much. They do it every time.
It is kind
I'm
of
like,
true, right?
what are you doing? Like any
that is
vintage,
kinda true.
any vintage
It's like they
SG I play.
over-exaggerate it. a
Yeah.
bit. And it's the same thing. Like the things about the Jazzmasters, right? It's like with some of the custom shops, I don't feel like the buzziness that like every production Jazzmaster Jaguar I've ever had.
Even
It's
with
just
the barrel bridge.
even with the thing. Okay, Mayor McCheese says, I mean, at some point the older audience is going to have all they want. Hard to create growth if your audience isn't growing. A lot of truth in that. I just wonder, like, how much are. It'll be interesting to see if that's how it plays out. Because I don't know. I think there's a lot of younger guys who it rubs off. They're like, want this junk,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not younger. I don't know. I'm old at this point. So.
Yeah, this is more of like a Rick Rubin saying, which is lame already, but I'm going to say it.
Lame.
Exactly, it's so lame. If something is right in one way, you have to only assume it is probably right in the other way whenever you're talking about things of opinion. So while there probably are young people out there who hate beat up stuff and they don't want anything to do with it, just as many of them see people playing beat up stuff and want to do it. So
I think, damn, that's cool.
exactly, I mean, seriously, like whenever we saw Big Ed, there was a light within both of us.
And there's a part of you that wanted to be like Big Ed, wasn't no big deal. Like, there's a part of me that would have thought, seeing that guitar, I'd be like, I don't care. I don't care about Explorers.
But that was the coolest one in that room. It was like, damn.
Jesus, yeah. No,
Damn.
it is cool. And obviously, that's you
It's
can
a
say,
special
it
case.
actually is a special thing.
Yeah.
It is.
But
Matt on the Water says he's in Charleston traffic, so he can actually watch today. I was just in Charleston. Like, when was it? The weekend before Thanksgiving. So I often am Matt on the Water. It's one day.
Tom, we do have a used R9. I believe it may be an R8. We're uncertain at the moment.
We were just discussing
We were just
that.
talking about it. We'll have to look. I think
Yeah.
we've got, I think it's 55 or 65 on it. Maybe somewhere in there. I'll have to double check it, but I'll get that to you. I'll text you on it or shoot you an email. I think I have your email. I believe I do.
Tom, if you want to buy it and I'll just play it for a few months, that's fine. I don't mind. I'll do that for you. Just for you. Uphill Gardner says lots of young guys into Bonamassa, so they will have vintage wish lists. That's funny too, right? Because there's like as many young guys are into him, hate him.
I know. I was gonna
Right?
say.
It's like if anything, that shows that it's split.
I think
You know
it's
what I
funny
mean?
the people who we've met that are severely into Joe Bonamassa are, and I think I can think of two people right now that you and I met at the same time that are special kinds of musicians. Like you're like, oh, okay, you
Sean Bean's
really
amazing.
like, yeah.
Amazing.
Well,
No, I know.
for as
I know.
good as
it's
they
funny.
were.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
For as good as they were weird. Like, it was not like they were like, and they're like busting out Joe Bonamassa songs that you're like, okay, yeah, like, no, I love that song. All right. They were like deep, dude. Like, they were this close to having his meat in their mouth.
Chad B gets it. Just me being a nice guy. Magnanimous, I like that. That's what I'm gonna put on my title for the NAMM. Okay, here, maybe you guys can help me. I'm filling out my little thing for NAMM because you had to fill out this thing when you're going to NAMM with like your name and blah, blah, and your nickname, which is dumb. And Baxter used to fill them out and put ridiculous things on there. So thank God he's not doing it this year. But what should my made up job title be? I don't have a real job title here. So I need you to put right now what I should put as my title. The Meat Man. J-Rob the Meat Man. That's
Casino Guitars.
And I won't put that on my nickname. I'll put that on my actual official title. I need to know this is my official title. Jen Ross says he enjoys Joe's passion as a collector. He really cares about this story, history of each piece. I feel like the more I watch the videos of him talking about the piece, like the vintage stuff, the more endearing he is to me. Whereas before, maybe I just didn't care about him as much.
I think he's endearing. I mean, I still think, here's something cool, and maybe some people disagree with this, but I think it's cool that, I feel like based on videos I've seen of Joe Bonamassa lately, I could walk up to him and be like, Joe, you're a cheese-eating cornball, dude. And he would laugh his ass off and be like, yeah.
I think he would.
I think he would. He
right
knows.
Before he had his dad punch.
Yeah, he like has him to kill me and like they chop me up.
Okay, guys, that was funny. Get him.
I think he would.
One less rib kick.
I think he doesn't take himself as seriously, and he's a little in on the joke. Like think Corey Feldman levels of putting on those sunglasses and slicking his hair back.
I think he kind of is, man. I think he kind of gets that. That's his persona. You know, if you hear him talk about the video where he's talking about how compression is his, his
my enemy.
He's like, I got 10 years. I don't know. I bet he kind of thinks about it that way. It'd be fun to hang out with him. Mayor McCheese says, I hear at NAMM this year you have to pay some union guy to shake it off for you when you use the bathroom. Joke's on you. It's been that way every year.
Why do you think I'm going, buddy?
It's been that way. I mean, you're just about right. It is. There's some stories about that.
My buddy takes,
but you can't set up your own booth, all that kind of stuff. So will Fender replant floor travelers for older custom shop stuff? Yes. In fact, this guitar right here and my Strat that I was holding last live stream, I didn't have travelers for either one of them, and I emailed Fender and they sent me the travelers for both, which was kind of surprising because I didn't know. Some of the specs surprised me a little bit. So that's cool, I think Bob must be talking about Joe. He's got him a fretboard diddler. That's kind of hilarious. Dude, Greg might have just nailed my title. The HEO. The Hoss Executive Officer. My God. That's what's going on there. Everyone else can stop. That's the winner. God bless you, Greg. What's up, Rob? I got your invite, and I think I accepted to the Crossroads thing. Working on maybe a fun trip / video with Rob to do some fun stuff. So more to come on that. Oh, listen to this. Frederick listened to Sean's new music. Very exciting stuff. Wants to hear more.
Thank you, Fred. Fred hit me up on the gram, so I sent him over the rough demo. If you go right now onto Spotify, and not everybody knows this, but my song, I have one song up on Spotify because you have to do this funny thing with DistroKid where before it'll let you claim your page and build out your Spotify and Apple Music and stuff the way that you want it to look, you have to upload a song first and then go and claim it and do all this stuff.
Weird.
It'll be up there for a little bit, and then I'm going to probably take it down by the end of the week so that I can just have control of the page and clean stuff up and make it look all nice. So, if you're interested, you can go listen to a rough demo of the song that Fred got to hear the final version of on Spotify right now.
But it's actually, it's really good.
Yeah.
Sean's like, yeah, it is.
It is.
You're right. It is pretty damn good. It is. Actually, it's very good.
Derek's vintage guitar is on the way. Derek was like, none of that business.
Jesus.
I'm going to type in.
That's news to Sean. Sean thinks I'm joking.
Oh, I know about it.
Uh-oh.
I'm the only one in the loop on this one. Derek's vintage guitar. Don't you worry. Okay, here's Derek. You'll have some insight on this. Let's discuss. Mayor McCheese, with his insight, has brought up a good question. Fender says no booth, only backroom dealer meetings. Could NAMM be returning to a real dealer-focused event? Well,
Are you saying Fender has no booth? No.
Fender has a booth.
Gotta have a booth. Where's he hearing that?
So PRS doesn't have a booth. I know that, but everybody else
when
does.
did Fender not? I mean, they've gotten rid of the custom shop room thing, right? I think not having a booth is a negative. I think if you're
so,
gonna
too.
come,
They gotta have a booth. Where are they gonna do the custom shop event at?
I think,
they're not doing it. They've gotten rid of that. They've gotten rid of that part.
I think in.
Which Fender? When did Fender not? But yeah, no, they've gotten
Well,
rid
that
of the custom shop.
2 years ago, I think, was the first year they didn't do anything.
Yeah.
I personally think it's a big negative, and in the long term, they're kind of shooting themselves in the foot by not supporting NAMM and supporting, their dealer network, I guess is what I should say.
If they don't have a booth, Fender's in bigger financial trouble than anybody wants to admit.
Woo!
You think it's a financial thing? You don't think that they're just doing it to kind of be
Or
like,
don't give a shit.
yeah, like we don't care?
No.
Because here's the thing about it,
I
right?
think they give a shit. I think they need their dealers. They need to have face-to-face with their dealers.
Yep.
But if you don't got $1 million to spend on your NAMM trip and build out,
Yeah.
then you're not going to do it.
Well, here's the thing, right? Like, the backroom dealer thing is fine, but we don't need to sit down with our dude and be like, yeah, we'll take some American pros, because the thing about going to NAMM, right, every year is every time we go and there's a custom shop event or we see the guitars, we're like, man, okay, that's cooler than we thought. We order some,
We're
right?
going to be awfully bored
You know.
if there's no fucking.
I just think, I don't know. There is a thing where they do need to get the dealers a little bit excited and seeing it. That's not supposed to be for Joe Smo to come to. I mean, it's cool. It's supposed to be to get the dealers kind of hopped up on.
There's no booth. You
Let's
guys
buy a
have
thing.
fun. I'm going to the PGA show.
Is that happening too?
It's happening
know.
same weekend down in Florida.
Okay.
PGA.
Me and Skylar are going to go hang out with them at the PGA show.
So hey, listen. The mayor says and I haven't watched this all. I've only watched a second. He said Mayor McCheese sent us the interview of
Yes,
Andy
Fred.
from CEA
Good.
yesterday.
Yep. Yeah.
Said that's where he said they weren't having a booth this year on that interview.
Well, maybe I should have a talk with Andy.
Okay, get him on the phone.
If Fender can't
What's up,
afford to
Nike
do it,
boy?
then we're in trouble.
We're getting a phone call after this. I can feel it.
Oh, yeah.
Is he blaming it on the tariffs? Is it a tariff issue?
Yeah, did he say why, Mayor McCheese? Now I'm interested. Now we're all gonna you've just cost us a whole day of work because we're all gonna sit on the green couch after this and watch that interview. Lunch for Derek to celebrate his new and awesome graphics package. There you go.
There we go.
There you go. By God.
Tom, you're the man.
Did we get new graphics?
Of course we did. I don't know.
I'm
New
looking.
graphics package on the intros. Is he talking about the intros?
Talking about the
squishy
intros?
video
The squishy video intros?
The squishy videos are amazing. My kids think it's magic. Okay, so he said they want to focus on dealer around the country. Again, that's cool. I just think I don't know. I feel like the things are kind of for us.
Sounds like they're cheaping out on us.
Cheaping out. Probably won't even take us to dinner this year.
And that's where I say, is it? I don't know. Is there a
Tom,
change in
thank
the
you.
air?
I'm glad that you appreciate the new intros.
At least one person does. Okay, Evan says, since I was a kid, I always thought going to NAMM would be amazing. At least I can go to the Asheville Vintage. First off, Asheville Vintage is very cool. NAMM is much cooler. NAMM is amazing. Like, it really is. And sometimes it makes me slightly sad that, I know that I'm a little bit jaded about that. Because the first time I went to a NAMM, I was like, God, this is amazing.
Jaded.
You know? And I still have moments of thinking it's amazing. And I'm kind of glad that we're all going back this year. But, yeah, you should still want to go to NAMM, but I do think it's it's not quite what it was pre-COVID, at least, you know?
You know what it is?
Ain't nothing like it was pre-COVID. boys.
Guys,
No.
we got to imagine a better world for tomorrow. That's the problem. We're all living as if it's all over.
Living for
Okay, so
today.
do the guitar companies spending less on those experiences translate to an overall better product? Like if they save $1 million there, do you think they're gonna take that money saved
Hell
and
no.
make their guitar even better?
Hell no.
I mean, that's not what it's going toward. All they're going to do is spend it on marketing somewhere else.
Yeah,
Probably
like it goes
for-
online marketing. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm sure
yeah.
to push people to .com.
That's money that could be spent sending us text messages about the new American Ultra 2.
Probably.
For-
Okay.
And really, if you view that in the grand scale, how much $1 million will go in online marketing? It's not, what's that? A month? Maybe a week?
Did you guys, now, we don't like to talk politics here, but did anybody see,
No good things.
Now
to
we
say.
start talking politics.
there was an interview that Kamala Harris did on a podcast, and I think they spent, I think it was $1 million, some crazy amount of money building the set for
Oh
the
yeah.
podcast.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
What do you buy? How do you build a set? Like, I'm trying to think of $1 million.
Like if this
You
table
could-
was gold.
No, it was 100,000. I think it was 100,000.
I was gonna say,
100,000
Yeah.
to build a set for a podcast.
you could build, you could build half a house.
And I think yeah, I'm gonna pull.
That's
up
just
the
insane. I just don't know what it could be.
All right. While you pull up that article,
And people can guess how much we spent on our set.
it's a very low number. I'll tell you that. Tom says, is NAMM open to the public? It did not used to be. No, it did not used to be, except for public day. There's always been workarounds, right? You could always like get buddy with shop and get a little badge and go. There's always been ways to do that junk, or say like, like I've gone as a demoer for a booth before I worked here and all that kind of stuff. But they did make it totally open to the public for how many years? After COVID, it was open for a while. I don't know what they're doing this year, and honestly,
John, you should shoot a message to did Mike from Tone Tuga, did he ever do the California NAMM show?
Yeah.
Or just I'd be curious to know how much it cost them to set up a
Dude.
booth out there.
it was a ton of money.
Did you have to use union labor to
We
to
talked-
put the
we
booth
talked
together
about
and
it.
The carpet.
He
I'm
said
curious what it costs to do a booth at NAMM. at
the
vendors
the
level.
final year he was going to do it was the year that, was it the year of COVID or maybe the year after COVID? Anyways, he was going to do it. And
After, I believe.
I think it was the year after.
That was the year they screwed him and like canceled it. So
Exactly. They canceled. He had bought, not only had he spent the money on the booth, but he had also spent the money on the airplane tickets, flying all of his junk out there, and the tickets for all that, and none of it was
none of that
refundable.
wasn't reimbursed.
He
yeah.
was like that could have very well been, and that would sour me on it. I'd be like,
I
fuck
think Mayor
this.
McCheese is right that 10K is the entry point. That was the number I was thinking I remembered. But, and then like we're saying, it's your flights, it's all this stuff. It's, it's just, but yes. And that's why you get those booths there with like 59 small brands together and crammed into one booth because they're all trying to, they're all trying to sort of save money. But yeah, that's exactly right. Tom, you probably are, my friend. Serious message. Shoot us, email us, and I bet we could work something out for you. But yeah, I'll give you some details if you call or shop at casinoguitars.com, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, we could figure that out. So yeah, man, because it's coming up, the old NAMM, and I don't know what the cutoff is for getting the badges, so it might have to be
Might
the
already
next
be
one.
cut off.
It might be
Yeah.
cut off for this year, but I definitely don't see a problem for us working that out in the future. Chad B says, my wife runs a nonprofit, so I could do NAMM under her organization. I went last year and want to go this year. So there you go. Yeah, because a lot of NAMM we forget too is like educational. It's like the little seminars and stuff. So there's all sorts of ways you can get a bag or a badge.
Like the thing, it's like real gimmicky. It's like Eric Johnson teaches you how to trim your fingernails. It's like,
Well, it's all like, music education for, underwater welders in Norway. And that'll be like this seminar, It's like, oh,
no.
okay, cool. And it's like 3 people sitting there on this presentation. But anyways, we're extra noodly today. I apologize. Apologize for our noodliness. But Tom says Bonamassa and basket weaving. That's pretty hilarious. Lots of high school band instruments there too. Yeah, there's a ton of that. We get caught up in that. It's guitar junk, right? But it's actually it's you know, there's a huge drum section. There's all the B&O. You know, there's the crazy like imports from China in the basement.
The synthesizers.
There's that. There's
synthesizers.
There's a whole section of just like software, like not just like recording software, like teaching software. You know, how to run your business, like point of sale software. There's all that junk. Hoss Leonard books. That's basically it. That's yeah. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? But I don't know. So when are we gonna spend $1 million in our set, guys? I mean, I think that's enough to buy us all like a, you know, nice vintage Strat that we could just hold. Derek, you could have a vintage or whatever you want, a gold top.
Yeah.
Sean, you could get your 67, whatever you want, 66 Strat. I don't know what I'd get. Maybe I'd get like a nice 60s telly.
I think I would get 66 Strat.
Okay, here's a question for the three of us sitting here, right? Money's no option, but a burst is off the table because everybody would just say, oh, I want a burst. No burst.
Yeah.
What are you getting vintage-wise?
I think I would do either a 64 or 66 Strat.
Okay.
One of those two. I like the line. I like right on the line there.
And do you kind of dig the big headstock?
I like the big headstock with the transition logo.
Transition logo.
Yep.
Derek, what you gonna get?
Pink Paisley telly.
That's the like legit
Pink Paisley.
Pink Paisley. I could see wanting like a 60s custom telly, like early, you know what I mean? Like the double bound, like legit one. I could also
Not
see
like a
one like
real-
a 57 Strat, you know what I mean?
Not like a real Falcon though.
I think about that, man, but I don't know how good some of them are. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like,
it's
if we're talking just like to sell, yeah, because they're worth a ton of money.
Well, it's like vintage 335s and stuff like that. The necks and stuff on them are
I mean,
always.
if you can get like a legit like a 64, like a 61, you know, or a 59, yeah, cool.
Well, all the
Yeah.
ones that I've played, the neck, like you want to talk about Gibson and like a guitar with a thinner neck. All the 335s, in my opinion, that I've played had way thinner necks than any SG ever did.
Unless that, yeah, but if you really went back to like 59.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No,
But I mean, like,
I've yet to play any
I
50s
haven't either.
Gibsons outside
I
of
haven't either.
juniors. Yeah.
Right.
I've played some. I've played like early 50s Les
But
Pauls.
think about how good that Big Ed neck was. Like imagine that neck
On a 335.
335.
God. Everything that I've played 60s wise on a Gibson, all the 335s had thin necks.
Taper. Yeah.
Yeah, hell yeah.
I put my thumb right there
right
in
where
that
his
disc and
divot
played
was.
in G like Big Ed intended.
Fucking doing so early.
I do. Like, yeah, I mean, the thing about that, man, you just couldn't
Why
you couldn't
can't we
help
get-
smiling. Like, I look like an idiot in
Dude.
the picture. Sean took pictures of me. I was like, I'm going to post them. I was like, nah, I look like an idiot. Because I'm
Same.
just like, you
Oh,
know,
the same. I was like,
I
whenever
look like I was on drugs.
I wish we could go back because now I feel way more chilled out about that whole situation, getting to know Mark and stuff. If we go back to do that, I would want to get pictures of me like with my thumb resting on the 5th fret mark or whatever.
Okay, here, let's discuss some dude's idea. Casino employees have a Fender custom shop picked out the day they start working. 20-year pension program gives them the guitar if they stay that long. Ideally increasing in value over time. Bam. 20 years is a long time.
Yeah.
I think I can share this, and this may not be spilling the beans on anything.
Oh, God.
At PRS, they have a program there that is similar to this. Okay, what they do is you have your, I think it's a 1 year?
You get an SE maybe.
Yeah, I think 1 year you get an SE.
That's cool.
3 year is like up to S2 or maybe SE. Maybe that's SE. And then 7 years, no, 7 years is your core. And then 10 years is, I want to say 10 or 15 years is a private stock.
Dude, that is
And then from
surprisingly
there-
like cool. I mean, that's pretty big. I mean,
Yeah.
I'd love to know what it is at Gibson now. I know that there's some things similar at Gibson, like you could buy a guitar after you were there for so long, like
25 years in, and you get the,
No,
you are able to buy
it was
a Murphy
literally,
Lab.
It was literally
at
like
price.
20% off. It was 20% off. But and you can only do 2 a year, you know. And it was
It's not even through a dealer. So
It's not through a
it's
dealer.
like they
I know,
got all
I
these
know,
points.
I
and
know.
they're like,
I know. It is like that. It was like that. And I could
Suck
be
it.
wrong. I could be remembering it wrong. And I was only there like 6, 7 months. You have to remember. But I know that you could like work on them Like if you grab stuff off the line and you wanted to make it custom, you could do that, but you still had to buy it. You know what I mean? But I don't know like at what point you had to be there long enough for them to give you something. But no, I mean that's really cool that PRS does that. You know what I mean?
I mean, that's weird at Gibson. I couldn't imagine that being fun. Like that sounds rough. But the PRS thing is cool.
Feel free to email Baxter and
Yes.
tell him that there needs to be a
Custom shop bonus, baby.
custom shop bonus this year. If he gets enough emails to Baxter and Casino Guitars,
He's gonna feel even worse about not doing it.
that's right.
Homegrown Son says dream guitar would have to be a Warrior 54 prototype. Casino helped me get. That was a fun transaction because the guy you got it from was a character, and that was sort of fun. But if you hadn't played the Warrior guitars, they're definitely something different, and they're pretty amazingly built instruments. It's fun just to check. They're not going to be everybody's like cup of tea aesthetically and stuff, but they're kind of fun. Evan says that's just to cut out theft. He's probably not horribly wrong.
I mean,
Tweet Tone says 20 years at Gibson, you can get Epiphone inspired by a Gibson model for 25% off. There you go.
if you had to pick out a custom shop right now in the shop, what would you be getting? I feel like for me right now it would be this. But if it had to be something that's on the wall.
Let's say I'm on the wall normal.
Yeah.
I got a couple that are on my short list. I mean, I'm not, but one would be, oddly enough, the semi-hollow telly with the
I'm just pulling up her
Phototrons.
page.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
That would be on a really short list for me. Also, is it a 54 that's got the gold hardware that's the real like flat looking sunburst?
54 Strat?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
yeah.
a killer
That's
guitar.
a bad guitar.
That would be my top one right now, honestly.
I mean,
God, that's a good guitar.
we got a black Strat over there, 56.
That's
that
killer.
thing is bad.
Keep going. Let me remember.
I know.
I would take that 54 telly,
54.
the honey blonde.
Oh, that thing's gone, man.
Is it
I gotta
gone?
pull that thing down. Yeah.
Darn
Yep.
you, internet.
That thing is gone.
What
like
tellies
the
we
wind.
got left? I mean, I really want a double bound telly, but I don't know if we got the one for me right now.
We got a wide fade, 3-tone Sunburst NOS Jazzmaster
That's
next
killer.
door. That is bad.
It's just hard for me to think that the Jazzmaster would be my first.
I know.
pick.
I'm in Jazzmaster mode right now, though. I'm
Well,
like, shit.
look what you're holding.
I know.
Keep going. What else would be?
Yeah, the Kunifee telly. That one's okay. It's neat.
I would play that. I don't know if it would be my first
Dude,
pick.
that
green
double
one
Esquire
is awesome.
We got a double Esquire in the shop
Like this
right now.
olive green.
That's
It's roasted
stupid.
pine.
It's been here far too long. It makes no sense. I mean, that is a bad.
Yeah, it's odd to me somebody hasn't scooped that up already.
That thing is sick.
They will. That's a killer. That double bound, the black over 3-tone
Oh
Sunburst.
yeah, that one is.
1960. That's pretty killer. I could live with that.
One of those.
I know the purple
we can
one is
pull that
gone, but
down.
the black one's still here.
Yeah.
The Cabello. However you say 'em.
Cabajo. Cabajo.
That's the one I'm talking about right there.
That humbucker.
Keep going over one more. That Strat right there. And
Oh.
it's a 57.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, that one right there with the gold hardware.
there's some good ones, man.
Share my screen.
There's some good ones. But it seems to me like it's a weird. It just seemed like it's a weird Christmas year to you guys.
It does.
Normally we do Christmas shopping sort of like all throughout the year, and we have not. I don't know, I don't know why we have suddenly waited, but it's like, man, Christmas is here, and it seems like that's across the board. It seems like no one is shopping the same. I know some of that is election year, some of that is economy, but
I was gonna share my screen. I couldn't figure it out. I feel like the moment's passed anyways, but I will learn how to do this, and then next time we will
I'll
do that.
teach you. You gotta go down
Okay.
to the present button.
Oh, okay.
while you guys do that, listen to this. Or Street Mission Band says, I would love to play a true vintage guitar so I could determine if there's anything really to it. Here's the thing, right? You could play one and be like, absolutely there is not. You could play an amazing one first, get lucky, and be like, oh my God, all vintages are great. And the reality is, it's just so guitar specific. You might play one that is amazing. There is something to it. You might play one that you hate. So, like, the only way to really get I think, Derek's probably done this more than any of us. I think to really get an idea of the vintage, like, thing, you got to go out and just play a ton of
If
vintage
your
guitars.
experience with vintage guitars have been mostly Gretches, you're gonna be disappointed.
Dude,
Man, this vintage stuff sucks.
listen, speaking of Gretches, Derek this morning sent me a little, like, tour of these people in the Gretsch factory in Japan, and it made me want to go so bad. Like watching them do the binding on the Falcons.
Yeah.
I think that, okay, who thinks that Casino needs to send me and Derek to Japan to go to the Gretsch factory?
And the Fender headquarters.
And the Fender headquarters, but most importantly, Gretsch. Kind of.
I do. That'd be sick. That'd be cool to
Come.
see.
You can come.
I want to see y'all go.
Baxter
I'm not
and Dylan can run the shop. It'll be fine.
Come on now. Homegrown Son said, if Sean found his Dream 64 reissue, what color would it be? Maple or rosewood board, hardtail or trim bridge? That's a funny question because for the longest time I'd be like, oh, just a 64 Strat, probably Olympic white, obviously rosewood board. I'm a big rosewood guy. But the hardtail to trim system thing. Whew. That's become trickier for me because
you used to think, oh, well, obviously you have a trim, and now after playing them, dude, I haven't put the bar in my for a
mine's
while.
been
I was
dicked.
I used to do all these little weird trick things and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, it is fun, and I almost put it in last night. But it's probably been 10 months since I've used the bar on my strap.
I think for one, there's more sustain. I've got mine decked, same thing, no trim on it at all, no bar. But
it is a different tone, though.
It is a different tone.
You lose some of the strap, a little bit of the strap thing.
What I love is the stability of my setup, and then also I'm using a wound G string now.
Yeah.
It's actually like a D string from a pack of 9s.
What a loser.
You know what size Andy Summers was using whenever they were recording the last couple of Police albums?
No.
He said his low string was close to like a 65.
Well, the way he plays, I can see that because he's, when you're doing those hard, stretches, like you don't really care about it. No, it's just that would actually make that makes sense to me. I think that would make that style easier.
I am all over changing my string gauges out now.
Bean Lamb says hardtail would steel plate some pickups. So you mean like a good telly, like God intended? Now you can get the little steel plates for the strap pickups, and that is actually pretty cool. In fact, I'm working on a custom shop with a guy that's doing that. Ed, if you're watching, I'm gonna need to get that back. I need a quote. The Terry Kath telly is super cool. I don't know. Well, I don't know, man. That thing does sound like beefy. I just don't ever think about that being like my daily player.
Should we do a segment where we talk about the builds we're working on for people?
That'd be kind of cool.
That'd be kind of neat. Do you think people mind that? People don't care, right? Like hearing about.
I think some people would be kind of like a cool,
The builds we're currently working on for people.
Can you believe this guy is doing it?
This color?
We just roast him. Vintage frets, what a loser. Oh, no. Ned says, why do I think Terry Kath is the lady on NPR? That's his daughter. Everyone knows it. Terry Kath Jr. Some people like the springs in the back cavity, but I can't stand the sympathetic vibrations. It's funny because
I kind of love that part.
I think love it or hate it, it exists. Right?
I'm a noise guy.
So you either
like
want
that.
it, but to me that's part of like typical Strat tone. But that said, like I would really like to have a hardtail.
Nothing sicker than having a built-in spring reverb, dude. That's what I think whenever I have that. I actually keep the plate off of mine, and what I used to do, it shows, and what I still intend to do, is this is just a part of me whenever
Takes
I
a
play.
hatchet. Bam!
Bam! Bam! No.
You would do
Fuzz
that.
drive on, I turn it around, and I just like rake my fingers across those springs one time. And I was like, oh. It rips, dude.
Some dude says, thoughts on feeling like a loser when playing signature model guitars on stage. Listen, there's all sorts of reasons to feel like a loser. Don't cap it at that.
I know.
I'm
Well,
mostly kidding.
I was gonna say, don't feel like a loser, man. Like,
If you love that signature model guitar, you got to own it and just do it, man. Just do it.
Bingo.
There's a handful that I wouldn't play just because I don't, I just wouldn't, or like I don't like the giant branding. But there's a handful, dude, that I would play the crap out of. Like the Jason Isbell telly, wouldn't think twice about it. I wouldn't think twice about the white Fortis, either the Fortis Falcons. You know what I mean? Like
Ed O'Brien Strat, I personally love.
Pretty cool.
That's a great one. I mean, hell, you know how many people, and I would say pro players, big stages, are playing like Eric Clapton Strats and stuff like that?
John
Jeff
Mayer
Beck.
playing the friggin' SRV Strat forever,
I mean,
and then it became his weird signature Strat. So
I mean, you see stuff like that all the time. I feel like the stigma of signature guitars has died out a lot.
Kind of gone. Every dude playing a Silver Sky. Every dude playing a Les Paul.
I mean, straight up.
We forget. We forget that it's just a soul power. Oh my God. You know.
Yeah. I mean, seriously.
Yeah, Bean Lamb's talking about the Les Paul thing too. But I mean, seriously, that is a signature guitar. So I mean, yeah, I don't know, man. If you find a signature guitar that you love, do it. You know, I think it's cool if you got a signature and you change things, like you take the nameplate off, or like the little Trust Rock cover with. I mean, you can make it your own.
Yeah, it's only a signature so long as you leave it as is as your signature. Like, do something crazy to that thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, if somebody's talking about the Squire, J Mascis, all that stuff, man, is I think it's kind of fine.
Yeah,
now.
I think especially like Johnny was saying, make it your own. Live with it. You know.
Yeah. It's fine. Now, it's a little bit weirder. Tom says so long as you aren't covering the guitar songs. That does get, like, into a weird... I mean, like, it's not like you can't do any of their songs, but if you only do their songs, is it better to be, like, a tribute? Like, let's say that you're a tribute band to said artists, and then you also buy their signature guitar. Is that cooler or less cool? I can't decide. Like, I mean, I wouldn't automatically hate on anybody because, you know.
Here's a good example, I think, because we've seen this, and he's a good friend of ours. He's in a Jimi Hendrix tribute, and he plays the Jimi Hendrix signature Strat, I believe. I think it just makes sense, you know, if you're going for that music, you're just trying to have the tools closest to what they would have been. Jimi Hendrix particularly, if you're a right-handed player, to get those weird left-handed Strat sounds that he was getting, you kind of have to flip the pickup.
You kind of have to do it.
Have the
Yeah.
system different on the headstock, you know? So, I don't know. I mean, I think it's a case-by-case basis. Just don't, well, I do
Mighty
feel
Woodrow.
like
The line is the Machine Gun Kelly signature. Dude. I feel like I missed an opportunity not playing it at the Blues Jam. But, Mighty Woodrow says he feels like a loser playing Les Paul. He feels looser. Looser. Don't be a loser, Woodrow. You're not a loser. We love you.
This one was brought up earlier by Based. Gun to your head. You have to choose between the Jaguar or the Jazz Master.
That's easy. That's easy. You burn them both.
You choose the bullet.
Take the bullet. Open up. No, it's hard, right? Because honestly, I kind of like Jaguar pickups
I was gonna
better.
say some days,
but I like the feel of Jazzmasters better. So I don't know. I've owned Jaguars. I've owned 2 Jaguars.
There's a certain amount of fight with a Jaguar that I kind of like, especially the shorter scale. Like I stopped thinking about bending. I stopped thinking about.
You play it different, and I wonder like, if maybe there's that question, right? I think right now I'd probably have to say Jazzmaster, partly because I've never owned one.
I mean, there is something undoubtedly like kind of sick about it. The pickups are tricky to get behind sometimes because there are some dud sounds in these things. I personally think compared to a Jaguar, I like almost every sound in it. To Jazzmaster, I'm like,
yeah, there's some that you're like, eh. So Bass says, I wish I had my Jaguar sound with a Jazzmaster scale link. I could totally get behind that. If you could just take this and then bam, the body's a Jaguar.
Well, what if I told you could?
You can't.
You
can't do it. This can't be done.
You can't.
It's black magic. Don't do it.
Take the neck pickup out. Get a different pick guard.
No, can't be done.
Drop it all back in.
You can do it if you're willing to pay the master built price, pay to play. If you want to put the skin in the game, you can get it. But that's the only way. Okay. Serge LeChant says, I wasn't into grunge in high school back in the 90s. Kind of ruined those guitars for me. Yeah, I could see that, you know. I think the thing that first made me think, oh, a Jazzmaster would be neat is Wilco. That's the gateway drug for me.
Not Johnny Marr?
Cool. No.
I wish I could play This Charming Man. I need to learn that.
I very much appreciate Johnny Marr. I didn't even know he was a thing.
What?
I know. Check this out. Man on the Water says Tim Reynolds plays a Mayer Strat when he tours with Dave Matthews. So there you go. And Tim Reynolds is a badass. That's a bad man. There's still some little acousticy things that from listening to that live at Luther College with Tim Reynolds. And I saw Tim Reynolds by himself in the Music Farm in Charleston, Mad on the Water. And it was an amazing show, but that was a long time ago. I couldn't tell you what year it was, but like early 2000s, and it was killer. Killer. Okay, Sean, let's see what you think on this. Would Hendrix be playing a Strat if he was alive today? Probably not. Lee Anderton thinks he'd play at BC Rich. That's dumb.
That's a little.
I
over
love
the
Lee
top.
Anderton, and he is the captain. But I think that's a strange take.
I
Now I could
think-
see him playing something like with a Floyd. You know, I could have seen him going to that. Like it probably would have been a Fender. I don't know.
You gotta think he is such a. He was so much a.
I don't think he cared about a singular guitar.
No, he brought on like the idea of building things further. So I would have seen him obviously go to Floyd Rose kind of stuff and things like that. But I think he would end up with some weird boutique maker that would, you know, like think of a Paul Reed Smith that was privately just building guitars for Jimi Hendrix.
Well, I'm thinking about like a Levi Perry putting the crazy fuzz circuit that he can like, no.
Yeah,
You know, I
he'd
can see
be-
him with the friggin' Chaos Pad and Matt
Yes.
Bellamy, you know, like I can see
Exactly.
Hendrix doing all that kind of cool stuff. But now the question is, right, like, because a lot of guys do that when they're young and then they mellow out when
they
they're old. Sometimes they
reach
go
a
the
sound.
other way. So
Yeah.
would Hendrix have done that, or would he? We all like to think he was a visionary. He would have kept pushing, but maybe not, man.
He
Maybe
might
he
have
would have
gotten to a
said, you know
point.
what? I'm just gonna go straight to the amp and play jazz. I don't know.
well, and they say
Because I think
too,
that's what happened to Clapton.
Yeah.
Right? I think Clapton hit this point and he was like, you know what?
this is all I want.
Put my mid boost in my guitar and give me a tweed amp and
I don't want
let's
any
call it a
pedals.
day.
Yeah. Well, and two, you know, they say with the experience, Jimmy knew that he was going out there to be the rock star. He wanted to be a rock god, right? Like he wanted to go and kill
And
it.
it different with the Band of Gypsies.
That's right. Whenever he did that,
You
he
could
was
tell.
like, no, he was like, I want to be the artist. He was like, I want to be.
It
Building
was
these things.
It was there is a marked difference when you see the live shows, obviously.
Which, and in comparison to that too, if you have a counterpoint to that, it would be like, look at all of the Beatles and what they did throughout the 70s. Like they were visionaries in their own right, and to a certain extent, they kind of just set into sounds, you know? Like John Lennon, I think, is a great example of that. Like he discovered his own sound, but it was definitely its own thing that kind of didn't really evolve. Same thing with Wings. You like Wings? Band on
not at
the
all.
run. Band
What?
on the run.
That's one of those bands that I love that song. I think that song's neat. But the rest of the Wings, I thought, oh, well, let me get into it. And
All of their songs have that same feeling to me, where it's just like, oh, that's neat.
what weird, ridiculous thing can we do from here?
Yeah, seriously. It's like,
Yeah, I mean,
well, the
you know,
song's only
we're about to get some
7
hate.
minutes, so we
Guys,
might as
we-
well make it 8.
We only say these things so you guys send us band T-shirts. I hope you understand. No, I mean, I don't know. I want to like Wings more than I do. You know, I just do. Homegrown Son said Hendrix will be playing Country on a B-Bender at the Opry. I mean, hey, weirder things have happened. That would be really funny. Who knows? Hendrix might have gone the EVH route. Good call, Sean. Yeah, I can see that. You know, I can see it. But what are you gonna do?
Big wings or little wings?
Let's okay. Here's an interesting idea. Stacey Evans says, "I was always of the opinion. I think she probably meant, or he meant, that if you get a great feeling guitar, you can always change the sound, i.e., change pickups, cap spots, etc." I kind of think that's true too. I don't like to do that. I want the guitar just to be what I want it to be. But yeah, if it feels great to me, that's probably the most important thing. What say you, Sean?
Same to me. I feel like feel is the number one thing, and then our sweet brother in arms, Zach Persons, taught me this little trick, and I've actually started to do it more and more, and I feel it more. He'd play any guitar that he picks up, especially vintage guitars. He'll sit there, he puts, if it's got a carve up against his chest, the telly or whatever, and he just goes, and he tries to feel the resonance from neck to body, right? Like feeling it in his hand here and then feeling it against him here. The resonance of all that before he even plugs it in. And he'll just play.
I mean, I sort of feel like you can do that without even, if you get the hang, I don't even feel like you have to, I mean, you can do that, right? But I feel like when I just strum a guitar, I'm like, oh,
You hear it, yeah.
okay,
That's kind of where I've been living. I think that is
Hey, Todd.
super important. And then whenever you plug the thing in, to me, the pickup sound is another thing. I don't like to swap too many things on guitars, which is funny for me. But you know, if I need to, I will. But otherwise, I'm just like, I'm sure it's gonna work. It's gonna sound good, you know. So, Jimmy would play a Frusciante signature model. He would actually. It's true.
Evan says someone should start a country wings cover band called Buffalo Wings. I could actually get into that.
I personally think Jimi Hendrix would hate the idea, and I did use the word hate, the idea of custom shop replicas and recreating things. In the same way, I think Joe Strummer would hate that
Oh my
idea.
God. Yeah,
it's,
probably
you know, there's an ethos there that I don't think would ever go away. Some people, you know, would argue that point, but I'm kind of like, nah, I don't think they would. I don't think they were, no amount of money would have persuaded those guys into that. Now, I could be wrong, you know. Joe Strummer could have sold out, you know, if he really needed the money.
I mean, you know, I don't blame anybody for that really much. But Joshua Condon says that Relic looks great. I'm assuming you mean the old JM over there, the Jazz Master. The Jazz Master. But who knows? Tom says, is there any guitar news we need to talk about? Derek's abandoning us, so I don't know. He always pulls those things up. There was the whole giant seizure of Chibson's. That was a thing. I feel like everybody talked about that, so I don't know. I don't know if we need to talk about that or care about it that much. So those new Gibson pickups in my 335, Rob, you should put them in there. Why not? You know, why not? All Gibsons made in Indonesia. That's kind of hilarious. Yeah. Let's see. Bass says I think Jimmy would do some Matt Bellamy stuff. Yeah, I mean I could see that. I hate when the Comet moves with the Chaos Pads and the Fuzz Factory. Yeah, I mean that would be kind of neat. So why not? There you go. Behringer, I don't know what Behringer's doing. I mean, they've always made just straight copies of things, but the Klon was sort of over the top. The Centaur Overdrive is kind of awesome.
I think I had to draw my line there. I get it, you know, I get what they're doing, but it's also like, it's kind of like the stuff they did a while back on the that biphase thing too. A couple of those things where it's just like, it's a little too close to home, you know? I get it, and I appreciate it, but also it's like, it's a little close to home, dude.
Wait a minute. Mark Stanton says, hey, if you guys looked into and tried it out here, did you guitars? What did you think? I don't feel like I understand the question. I'm sorry, Mark. If you tell me what you meant, I will answer you. Gibson was going overseas. I don't think Gibson's going overseas.
No.
I mean, I don't know.
I think Gibson was going.
Are Gibson Murphy necks still flaking and chipping away?
I feel like it's gotten better. I haven't seen any other talk on it.
Somebody had posted on the gear page that they still were.
Okay. Well,
there
that's
you
by
go.
design.
Just like the real thing, by guys.
Just like the real thing.
Just like the old the gold tops that were gold all over in the back of the neck just kind of flaked away.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know.
What was I gonna say?
I mean, I guess that would mean that like it would not be an Epiphone. Like it would be like a Mexican-made Fender. You'd have an overseas-made Gibson.
Yeah.
Does anybody want that at this point? I don't think so. I think the Epiphones are so good. I don't think anybody really cares.
Yeah.
You know, but I don't know. I could be wrong. Thought I saw Jonathan's guitar on casino site for sale. It is a clone of Jonathan's guitar.
It is.
I actually spec'd it, Homegrown Son, but it's not this one. And I have to say, the old original is slightly better, just because it's been loved on for a long time.
It's a hard thing to copy, you know.
It's a hard thing to copy, but that's a really good one. I honestly, I kind of can't believe that it is still here, but it is. Someone should buy it because it sounds stupidly good.
It's pretty good.
I did put a big neck on it. And this one's not as big a neck. This is the soft V, the 57 soft V. You know, what are you gonna do? So, but anyways, the neck relicking on that telly is sweet. You know what? This telly was obviously relicked when I got it, but it has relicked a lot more on the neck, and the neck looks pretty amazing. The neck looked quite a bit different when I got it.
I remember when I met you, I feel like, especially 12th to 1st, there was more lacquer on the low end.
Oh, the lacquer is all gone away.
Yeah.
There was lacquer like peppered through here, and it's all
Yeah.
gone.
It was
and
not
it
like
had those
that.
lines they draw to make it dirty. Like that's all been long gone.
Yeah.
But it's kind of neat that this looks so. And it's not. I love that it's not like dug in.
Yeah.
You know, some of them you see it like dug in, but it's like.
And the same thing on the sides here. I know
That's
that's
all
from
gone.
you going up, you know,
Yeah, it's all
and that
gone.
wear in the middle is soon to come behind it.
It's funny because that obviously wasn't worn any, but it's still a lot now. But I don't play like up there.
That's what I mean. I can just tell from where you slide up
but-
past it, which is sick.
But it is pretty neat. The other thing that's worn a ton on this one is the back. Has worn a bunch, and like that, like the edges, like all these edges weren't sort of like burned when I got them, which is funny. Which you wonder, like, oh, do you really get wear there on guitars? But yeah.
Well, and the same thing, how many times you've swapped out not only the bridge, but also the control.
This is the third set of saddles from Sweat, which is nasty. I agree, but it's true.
That's part of it.
These are the Callahan compensated ones. This is the second wiring harness, and I've had to put this one a fair amount. Same thing. It was just so nasty, and I had to replace the pickup because I should next week, if I remember, I'll bring my bridge pickup and show you how nasty it was. Because I saved it.
Well, I mean,
but it was so nasty.
I think what is easy to forget about. What is
My mic caught to my thing.
It's easy to forget that not only is this from you playing it, but it's also you go and you play outside for 3 hours in the middle of the hot sun, and then you turn around and you play in the wintertime and it gets real cold. It's like all those things kind of grind on those.
Well, when I got this
electronics.
guitar, I was in the middle of my heaviest, like doing those kind of tours with Nashville guys. And they were big enough that we were touring all over the country, but also we were still playing like outdoors for 2 or 3 hours. And just like brutal. And I sweat anyways. And then when it's like that, dude, I would just drench them. Fried Tater says the pickup broken. It didn't get broken, but man, it just got to where it was thin sounding and I didn't love the sound of it. And I was like, man, this was such my favorite thing. And I hated to even change it. And obviously, like, I don't sweat into that one. So that's still the original Twisted Telly. But this was a 51 no-caster. But I'm glad I did, because as soon as and the reason I changed it is our pal Sanchez pickups sent Baxter a set of Strat pickups, and me a set of Telly pickups, and it was like I wanted to try them. I didn't have a Telly. I wanted to change pickups. So when that happened, I threw in his bridge, and I didn't really know if it was going to be a placeholder or what, but I love it. So
I was gonna say, and I think this is interesting to talk about just for anybody out there who maybe you've bought a vintage guitar and you're afraid. Maybe you have a custom shop guitar that you've played so much that you're afraid to do anything to. Every time you've had one of those situations, we've had many conversations.
So many conversations.
The frets were about gone on the guitar, and I played it. I think I played it down at the wine cellar with you.
I didn't realize how bad
and
they
I was
were.
like, damn
Sean
son.
came and played it one night, and he was like,
It's like,
how do you play this? And I was like,
it was bad.
You planted it in my brain, and I was like, damn it, I have to get it refretted. So I was scared to do it, kind of. So then I did it, and it was a great thing. And the same thing with that. I finally was just like, I took it home one night, got it in my soldering iron, and did it at home. And
Well, anytime we've had those conversations on it, usually we'll talk on it. You'll ask, you'll be like, you think I should do this? And I'll be honest with you now that, it's been multiple things at this point that you've done, and it's like worked out. I'm usually just saying that as a vote in confidence for your own, because I know if it were me there.
You need someone
who's just like, yeah, because it's going to be better.
At every point, it was like I had to do it because this was my favorite guitar, and I'd kind of stopped playing it.
Yeah.
Because the frets were like worthless.
They
were flat, man. Now the only good side was it was a great slide guitar, and now it's my worst slide guitar because I hit those stupid giant
bang, bang, bang.
frets. But the pickup, man, I really had forgotten how good a Telly Bridge pickup sounds because that one was just shot.
I remember whenever you swapped that one, and you were like ecstatic. You're like, oh my god.
Because it was like, oh my god, it's back to what it was supposed to be.
You're like, yeah.
Because listen, I'm telling you, for probably 8 years, I lived right there on the bridge pickup. I like never, and then I would ride the tone knob, but I hardly ever would play neck pickup. I'd set my amp up to where I love the sound of the bridge pickup, and that was it.
Yeah.
Because it just has that cut and that but.
Hell yeah.
And then that turned me into being like on the neck all the time out of just kind of necessity where that started sounding bad to me. And I was like, oh. And now
You can kind of rock back and forth.
balanced.
I love the neck pickup on a telly.
Here's a question for everybody. This is about setting amps up. Like, I realized when that started going poorly that part of the reason I never used my neck is because I really set my amp geared around my bridge pickup. So when I would go back there, I didn't really dig the sound of, because it sounded muddy because I had my amp a little treble rolled off instead of doing it with my tone knob.
Yeah.
And then when I started setting it up, because I was playing that pickup the most, when I go to there, it'd be way too bright.
Yeah.
So now I kind of like split the difference and use my tone knob, and it's a much better, a much more versatile thing. But I'd never thought about that before until after years of thinking, man, that was dumb to do it that way. But that's just little things you sort of do, I think.
It's funny, I was messing around last night while I was sick on the couch. I plugged in my Strat, and Kevin Walsh, sweet big baby Kevin Walsh, left me his wonderful Blues Junior with a new speaker on it. And he was like,
sounds really good.
Break it in, have fun with it. So I've got it up in my upstairs part of my house, and I was plugged into the thing, and I'm playing it, and the speaker's really tight still, but I've got the tone rolled off, right? And then I started tweaking the treble and mids to compensate for that. And I was thinking about it. It's like, it's a cool experiment to think about. What if you only used one tone on your guitar and you push the amp to do different things? Just how much like EQing and shit like that just changes the whole environment that you're playing within. So definitely, I think tweaking with the EQ knobs is worthwhile, I guess is what I'm getting at. Like, dick around with that thing. Have you gotten to the point where you don't touch it ever? Like, go tweak it. You know, you're going to run into something that you're like, oh, that's weird. I never thought about that.
Well, I think there's something to, like, pushing the amp. Like, let's say that you're at a gig, and you put the amp way louder than you can actually be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And maybe a little brighter than you actually want to be. And then do it down to, like, the darkest you want to be on your guitar and the lowest volume. And then you always have somewhere to, because I used to get into gigs and I'd have nowhere to go, right?
Yeah.
And now I'm not concerned if I don't ever get to 10 on my guitar. Where I used to just live at 10 on both, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so now I don't really live at 10 on either one. And sometimes, like, I won't ever get there.
Yeah.
but your amp still feels better, louder. Even if your guitar's rolled off.
Yeah. Being bedridden yesterday, I watched a ton of Rick Beato. Mr. Beato, the Beat Man.
Beato.
He was talking to Stuart Copeland, though. And this goes to your talk about brightness and, like, you're driving the amp so much, right? Clearly, he's a drummer, so this is going to be a little different for a second.
Take it with a grain of salt.
They said, Rick Beato said, I heard that you used to stand on your drums to be able to tighten them more. He's like, because you wanted them to be pitched so high up, right? Because the more you tighten up the drum, the higher pitched it gets. So he said, well, I didn't stand on it. He's like, but I did tune them as tight as possible. And he's like, well, why would you do that? He's like, well, in the live situation, he was like, you have all this brightness and all this punch. He was like, that whenever it gets to the mixing console, it's just going to sound huge. He's like, it's going to be like big explosions coming at you. There's action in it, instead of them being tuned really low and mellow. So, like with what you're saying, if you have that brightness area, you always have a cut.
Well, and in the mix, it might not sound good to you sitting there, but in the mix, man, I had this drummer one time. I've never gotten over this. I'm sure Sean hates the story. I probably told him multiple times. This old crusty bastard. Anyways, we're playing at Rippy's in Nashville in the side room, and it's like 10 and everywhere. And that dude was telling me how to EQ my guitar, and I'd never met him before. It was one of those gigs where I just showed up, and I was new. I was very young, and I was just like, don't you play the drums, old man? I didn't say that, but
listen here.
I was like, wait a minute. You tune your drums and I'll tune my guitar. And listen, sometimes people say those things nicely, and it's helpful to younger musicians. And I've learned amazing things from drummers, but this is not that scenario.
No.
This was him just being like, I was like, okay,
Like,
well,
listen here,
if
you
you want
bastard.
mud, that's cool, but I don't want mud.
But that's the thing, though, is like,
You
and me and Baxter were talking about this the other day. I've been in band situations where, and this goes to just talking about advice, I guess. You'll catch a dude who is literally just speaking to say nothing. Like, he's just saying, you should really change this. And they're not thinking it. They're not hearing it. They're just saying it because they want to say something within the realm to shape something that they can't even see. Like,
they have no idea about it. Well,
and they're just saying it to fucking sound smart.
Then you'll get dudes who are super thoughtful who don't play your instrument. Man, I'm like, I learned more from my friend Adrian Flores, who's an amazing drummer in Nashville. And he doesn't even know, because most of the time when I learned it from him, he wasn't even talking directly to me, and I would just be like, oh,
Just
yeah.
kind of speaking it.
He's just a great musician. You know
Because
what I
he's
mean?
actually hearing it and thinking about it.
My
He's
buddy
like,
Clark Singleton, who can sickeningly kind of play everything, but bass player, but also a good, great, really good drummer. Good produces a lot of stuff now in Nashville, and he owns Brown Box. So many things from him.
Sick dude.
But if you're just being like kind of bitter and saying junk, it's
Yes.
like, oh. I think our pal Roland is a pretty good example because he's
a
an
great
older
example.
guy, lots of experience, and he says stuff and he's very direct about it. Like he doesn't sugarcoat
but he
things.
says it one time.
Well, but
and
it's
it's
also
not
not just bitch.
Yes.
He's not just being like.
Well, it's like we're miking up the drums.
You know what I mean?
Whenever we were miking up the drums for the 89 volt show, I'm setting him up, and all he said, and he said it very well. He's like, I don't know much about any of this stuff. He's like, but he's like, I know this guy told me one time. He's like, if you put the overhead microphones the width of the cymbal away, he's like, and you can even go and add a little bit. He's like, but if you do that, he's like, it's going to catch right about at that perfect brilliance point. And he said, but that's just what he told me. He's like, it's something to maybe mess around with. And I didn't, and it worked. It was cool. I was like, sweet.
Some things are things for a reason.
Exactly.
Like those wisdom things, right? And you think, oh, I can do it different, but I mean,
And it's in the way that somebody says it too, because like in the bands that I've been in where somebody says something and they're swearing to God that this is going to change everything and something, they usually don't know. And they're the people that you can go, is that what you meant? Is that better? Like I haven't turned anything, I haven't touched anything, I've just put my hand on the desk, right? Yeah, oh my God, that's it. I'm like, okay, you don't know.
I think Fried Tater says it's good to get great advice from otherwise musicians. I think that is the best. That's why when you play, you want to be like the worst guy in the band because you just learn so much stuff. But I think it is good. It's always a good reminder to me, like as I get older, don't be the jerk who like doesn't like some guy doesn't know a thing.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know things either, and I still don't know certain things. And so.
I'll share this funny ass story about myself being a dumbass. We were rehearsing for that charity show, and I think it was the Killers song, or it was that or no, it wasn't Sweet Caroline. It had to have been the Killers song, because we went to play it, and I looked at Jonathan, and I was like, what are you doing? I was like, you're playing it wrong. I was like, it's like this. And then like I started playing it, and he was like, no, that's not how it goes. And I swore up and down. Now, the reason why is because, for one, I was trying to rush the process a bit, and I wasn't listening to the songs and playing them at the same time. I looked up the tab, and I was just trying to blast through them, right? Because I was like, all right, it's crunch time. Let me get in on this, right? And this was weeks before the thing happened, so there's still time to obviously learn the songs the other way, too. But I went through that, and I was like, all right, I got it. It sounds like the song and everything. We show up for that first rehearsal, and I start to play it. And Jonathan's like, no, it's starts here on F sharp. And I was like,
no, it's not in that key.
No, I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, it would be in that, but it's a flat. You've got to think. And he's like,
They're
no.
tuned down.
And then
the old
they
ultimate
started
guitar will
playing.
get you.
And I checked it, and I was like, I had it up by 2. Somehow, I was like, shit, you dumbass.
That's easy to do. I mean, that's not a thing,
Yeah,
right? But it would
but
be
you
easier
didn't-
for either person to be an asshole in that situation.
Exactly.
And just don't be. It's cool. It's supposed to be music. It's supposed to be fun.
I started laughing whenever I saw it, and you showed me the right way to do it. And I was like, cool, let's do this. Let's get it right. It's not so much that idea of like,
I mean, God knows I have things wrong
time
all
to
the time,
shame
but,
somebody.
Shame. I can't learn your songs at home. Dude, learn your songs at home. But it's just funny, It's just kind of funny.
Do you know the song Vaginitis by the Soggy Kitty? What the hell?
No, but
dude?
we're going
That's
to learn it
weird.
right after this. Right after this. I don't know, actually. I don't know if I want to know that one. Fried Tater says just asking for tips. Not all, the most of the time they will help you. Yeah, I think that's true. I mean, you can learn something from almost everybody, even the Kirsty drummer who was telling me to be muddy and all the little thing. But, and if he had said, hey, man, this is a really bright room, you might want to turn. I would have probably been like, oh, dude, thanks for telling me. But,
I had a bass player one time. This was the first time I ever played with this band, and I won't out him because of how stupid it was. We were playing, and I was playing the twin at the time, right? So I show up, and I'm listening to the band, and I'm trying to get my sound right so it fits into the mix. And we're playing a show. So I'm doing this, the first time I've ever played with them. We haven't rehearsed together or anything like that, so go out and play with them. And I get my sound down, and I'm like, all right. I was like, I can hear myself. I hear it meshing with the other guitar player pretty well. The bass is still there, obviously, because the bass perfect. Bass player comes over, he's like, oh, you're kind of eating up all my frequencies. And I looked at him, I was like, what? He was like, yeah, you need to like take all the low end out. And I was like, do what? So I went over there and I started tweaking with it. And I thought about it, I was like, this motherfucker doesn't know what he's talking about. Because like I was sitting there listening to it all, I was like, I can hear the bass. Like this is weird. Like it was just very, very funny.
It can be.
Have you ever had a bass player tell you such a thing?
Yeah.
Really?
I have, yeah. I have. Because bass players get in their brain that if you play anything that's lower on the guitar, that you're eating up all their frequencies.
It was literally,
like, well,
I was playing like, like Big E.
And listen, you can if you get to, a guitar player playing all low chords and a keyboard player with the left hand and a bass player, you can. But
don't worry, there was no keyboard player.
Ned said, this is funny. Ned says, I love it when you look up the tab for a little head start and realize the tab online is wrong. Another guitar player you're playing with is playing exactly like the bad tabs online. Yeah, I mean, that happens a ton. Or you get to the, people have those pulled up on gigs a lot. And then once you realize they're wrong. Now, here's a funny thing. I've noticed that some of the ones that are starred the worst, that you think, oh, I want to look at, are actually right. It's just people can't play the little nuances in them, so they get downvoted.
I've seen that too.
And one of my kids the other day is so funny. He wanted to learn Lucid Dream by Juice WRLD, that little guitar part. Listen, I learned some badass chord voicings from it. So I was glad that little thing for F sharp minor. But anyways, so I showed it to him. I wrote it down. He's like, yeah, that tab. First off, I was going to listen to it by ear. And he's like, can we just look it up online so it's right? And I was like, okay. So I'm going to let that go. So we did pull it up on Ultimate Guitar, and it was really close, but it wasn't rated that highly, right? And I was like, this is really close to what they're doing, So I wrote it down for him. Comes back the next week, and I'm not picking on this kid. He's one of my best students. I really enjoy him. But anyways, he says, man, that tab wasn't right. I said, yes, it was. I was like, you're just not playing it. You're not thinking about it. You're not breaking it into chord shapes, and you're not playing it in the right rhythm. So then I showed him, and the lesson that day already I had planned was like splitting it up to the measures, where the actual, and not just thinking of it as random notes and holding the things, thinking about what are the chords.
Yep.
And I made him figure that out, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And but so it's funny because he would have gone with some simplified weird version.
Yes. Just to get by and be like, oh, look, I mastered it.
And he would have probably known that wasn't right either. But I think that happens a ton with the Ultimate Guitar.
I've had a ton of students come in and I can't stand to hear it because I hear it. It's not all the time, but it's a lot of the times where kids go through this phase where it's like, no, I've mastered it. I know this song. I've got it inside it. I'm like, you just think you've mastered it. There's so many nuances that you miss out whenever you're just reading tabs. Because a tab can show you that chord from Lenny, right? It's funny enough, I had a student I was teaching this to, right? And you do the, doing that chord right there. Well, you can play that chord, and you can play the other chords. But if you can't play those chords and listen to all the nuances of the playing, Same thing with Little Wing, anything if you played it by the tab,
dude, it's so
it comes
hard.
out sounding
and
clunky.
You miss that you're holding certain notes and letting them ring because usually those aren't notated. You gotta be listening. What Ned says is he nails it. He says, I don't think I've ever found a 100% accurate source for tabs, but they're a fine place to start. That's what I always do. If I'm in a hurry, I'll start there and then I'll tweak it, right?
Bingo.
He says, I like watching videos so you can see what folks are doing. If you watch the video, you can hear if it's right. Mm-hmm. You can see it's not just putting your, they're sliding into this thing or whatever. I think it's so much better.
Yeah.
And if you find the videos where the dudes have it tabbed and they're playing it, and they're not 100% right all the time either.
No.
But
what I usually do is I'll start with the tab to get the idea of the song down, and I usually look at the chords, in the chords over the words, feel those changes, and then from there I'll listen to it. And watching a live recording is sick. If you can watch them play it live and pick up on all those little things, you're like, okay, sweet. That's where I feel like I'm confident, I'm getting the song to where I want it to be. Especially if you're just talking chops and skill stuff and everything like that, which I think you pick up from on playing stuff that is just out of reach, that stuff that you're like, oh, I couldn't do that.
Well, I mean, how many times do you work on something like that and then it clicks one day and you're like, oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Or your skills catch up to something you want to learn. I can still remember that happening. But anyways.
Yeah.
Man. 11:20. Mayor McCheese says, I feel like learning by ear forces me to figure out the decision-making process of why they play. I mean, that's really true. And it's just good for your It's good for your ears. But yeah, that is about it. I know a little about it. That's such a good song. That song's been in my brain. I worked really hard on that for the Skinner tribute band that never happened.
Who's that? Oh, whenever Ricky Medlock dies, you're in, dude. I saw a video of him playing the other day. It's funny, he's singing that part. He's like, while he's like playing it.
That is a tough song, Larry. Go learn the intro to as I know a little. Man, it's cool. Some cool little licks. All that little. But anyways,
we'll say too, just to wrap things up with a bow. Sean Brooks says, the world doesn't need another perfect copy of Mustang Sally.
Mustang Sally.
I don't think anyone ever needs to play that song ever again. Burn it with fire. You want to talk about song? Like, I don't like to say I hate anything at all, but that's one song that I'm like, I could live the rest of my life and never hear it and be like, okay. But perfect copies are lame to me. I think it should be your own thing. It's like Little Wing. Like, that is it's a moment for Jimi Hendrix. Like, make your own moment out of it, you know?
Tom, don't let your wife give you those horrible ideas. You come just to hang out next time. Tom said he was coming to hang out, and his wife was like, why would you go if you're not shopping? You come to see your pals. That's why. Clunky guitars, it is harder than, I think it's harder than it sounds to get all the little things just right. But pretty amazing. Steve Gaines is a killer, because he wrote that one. But anyways, there's a lot of ways to simplify the intro and play half the notes, but it sounds good. Yeah, I just like all the notes are kind of perfect. Plus, it was a challenge for me to get it all just right. But anyways, we love you all. We hope you're doing well. We'll keep our little Advent calendar going. Thanks to Surrender for that thing. Yeah. Anything else? Anything we're missing? We're still behind on the giveaway, so we got to do that. But we're late today, so we'll have to catch up. It's been great. I think we've all been sort of foggy-brained through Thanksgiving and going into Christmas. But don't worry, we got plenty of 100K giveaways left. I think it's going to be a little while, so we'll get to that one and we'll double up. But anyways, talk to you all soon. Yes. And thanks for hanging out with us. We appreciate you. Hit like, hit subscribe,
hit the bell.
We'll see you next time.